Hey boys and girls, and thank you so much for joining us for this week's I Spy Adventure Camp. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Pastor Ashley, and I am so excited that you are taking this adventure with us. We have all kinds of fun in store for you, and I can't wait to share it with you. Lots of adventures, crafts, exploration, learning, you name it, we're gonna do it. And I can't wait for you to be on this journey with me. But first things first, there's a couple things you're gonna need to grab. So why don't you grab your box, and from that box you're going to need to grab a handful of things. So number one, you're going to want to grab your workbook. That's the page that has the green printing on front that says I Spy Adventure Camp. Because in there, it's going to give you all the instructions and details, some activity pages for you to do as we go through this lesson together. You're also going to need a pen from your notebook or from your box. You'll find a pen in there. There's a notebook for you to take some notes on all the things that you're learning. And you're gonna need your purple bag, because in the purple bag, there's gonna be a prize, a snack, and all the supplies you need to complete today's activities. So don't open any of the other bags, because those are for the next days. Everything you need for today is in your purple bag. So grab that. You can use up all of it today, because you're gonna get new supplies again in tomorrow's bag. So I can't wait to get started with you. Also, you need that nature journal. So it says My Nature Journal on the front. So grab your workbook, your nature journal, your notebook, your pen, and your purple bag, and join me right back here when you have all those things you need. Let's get started.
Welcome everybody to I Spy Adventure Camp. This week we are going to have so much fun exploring all the beauty of creation around us. Today I'm sitting right here, right on the lake, surrounded by the beauty of God's creation, and I can hear the fish jumping behind me. I can hear turtles over here. I just saw a kingfisher diving down for its breakfast. God's amazing creation is just all around here, and God speaks to us that way through nature. This week's theme is just perfect for nature camp. It's Luke 12:28, and it says, "If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today, and tomorrow is thrown in the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith?" If you can right now, go outside into your backyard and look at all the handiwork that you can see around you from God's creation. He's our supreme creator. He made nature. It reveals his amazing artistry and his handiwork. Imagine how much more special you are to him, even more than this beautiful creation around us, and how fearfully and wonderfully made each one of you are. I have a great opening poem that we're going to try to do every single day. Welcome to the forest, to the plants and the trees. Welcome to the birds, to the beetles and the bees. Welcome me and welcome you to our outdoor adventure space. Using all your senses that God gave you, feel him speaking through creation in this place. God created me and God created you. Each and every creature is his handiwork too. I Spy Adventure Camp, woo-hoo! We're going to try to do that every day, but each day we're going to change it up just a little bit. And I want you to add your own words in there sometimes too. So I'm going to leave a space for you. So you can rewind that if you want to hear it one more time. Let's talk about the 5 senses that God gave us. So today we're going to use each one of them with a greater awareness. As you look around you, all around outside, I want you to name 5 things that you see in nature. I'm going to do it right now. I see grass, I see trees and rocks, I see wood, I see a beautiful lake, I see lily pads, and I also see little rings on the lake. And that oftentimes means that there's a lot of life down below. Birds I can see flitting through the air. I see dirt. Oh, and you know what else I see? Look at this. I see a feather. Wow. Here's a leaf. Does anyone know what kind of leaf that is? It's a maple leaf. It's a little curled up because it's off of the tree, but oh, it's just amazing what we can see around us. What did you see? Okay, now I want you to close your eyes. Listen with all of your ears and tell me what you hear. I hear a frog. I hear a bird. I hear the wind. I hear a squirrel. What did you hear? Sometimes at night we hear different things. Did you hear a buzzing bee? Or did you hear a cricket? I can hear water flowing. Sometimes in the fall we hear leaves blowing. I just heard a bee go by my ear, and I saw a butterfly that way. And it even made a little bit of a sound. So lots of things we can hear. I love the sound of squawking squirrels and chirping birds and so many different things that God created in nature. Okay, open your eyes now. There are more senses. Look, we have people on the lake. They're enjoying the water out there. Name some other senses. Okay, let's try our nose. Tell me what you smell. Sometimes if you close your eyes, it's easier to smell. Your senses become much more aware. Must have been a cloud that just went overhead because everything got darker and cooler. It's shading me from the sun. There's a real pretty tree that has, it's a bit of a shrub, I should say, a water shrub, and it has a beautiful smelling flower. It almost smells kind of like apricots or peaches. I smell swan poop because I'm sitting really close to it. I smell, you know, water in a pond. It kind of has that algae smell, so I could smell that too. What else can you smell? We had a lot of rain the last few days, so it's kind of a muddy smell that I smell. And have you ever smelled worms whenever it rains? Can you hear that in the background? There was a squawk. That was the great blue heron. Smells are a little bit harder. If you move around, you'll smell different smells. Moving from place to place, you can get different scents. If you live in the city, you can smell totally different smells than what you can smell in the country. Sometimes in the country, it's not always the greatest smell either. So, it's a little bit harder using our sense of smell, but we're at I Spy Adventure Camp. So, another sense is feel, touch. What does the grass feel like when you sit in it? I remember when our son Joseph was a little baby, the first time we put him down, he was just under a year. He wasn't even walking yet. And we put him in the grass and he giggled because it was tickling his knees. So grass can feel kind of tickly. What does a stick feel like? It can kind of feel rough. Sometimes it can feel smooth. And what about a stone? I think a stone can sometimes feel rough and smooth too. How about water? Well, if I was to dip my hand in that water, I could tell you it would feel wet. And what about smooth and jagged? That's another good description. Can sometimes be the bark on a tree or a sharp rock. And what about the fur on a dog or a cat? How does that feel? Fuzzy, soft, warm. I'm looking at this feather again and thinking, wow, that looks really soft and furry. We call that the downy fur. So we have lots of different senses that are out there for us. Now, I want you to go to your nature journal, and there you will see a page that asks what you saw, what you heard, what you smelled, and what you felt today. Draw at least 3 things in each, and if you can do more, that's wonderful. So now you need to pause the video. This week we're going to become master naturalists. Do you know what a naturalist is? It's a person who loves nature. Each day we'll be discussing a different species in nature. Can you name some of those species that we find in nature? Plants are one of them. Think about some other things. How about rocks? Trees? Yep. Did I hear the word mammals? Birds? Reptiles? Amphibians? And insects? Yeah, bugs. I love bugs. They're cool. So those are those teeny tiny creatures that we really kind of don't pay much attention to. This week, we're going to talk about all of these different species and how God created each one of them for a purpose. What an amazing creator we have. Now I'm going to ask you to pause everything, and we're going to talk about making a treasure box. Okay, now you're going to make a treasure box. So you've got a shoe box that you saved, possibly, or a tiny box in your house. Maybe even those Rio Thompson boxes. Or you can use the box that all of your materials came in. That's a bigger one, so you can get bigger treasures for that. Each of you have this box, and now you've got cool materials that were in the box this week. Take out some of the coloring pages from your nature workbook and decorate them, color them, cut them out. You can cut out butterflies, you can cut out animals and bugs, you can glue them onto the box. Why don't you find things from nature that you can put even on your box? Glue them on your box if you can. But the whole idea is this week, anytime you find something really unique in nature that is no longer needed, for example, don't put things live in there, but when you find some cool things in nature that you can take, put it in the box. Can you think of some things? I just showed one that was a feather, and that's not needed anymore. How about pine cones? We're going to talk about different leaf shapes, so I'm going to get you to put some of those things in. And how about, the odd flower has its bud that falls off. Maybe some grass blades, some little pieces of wood or twigs. And we're going to talk about lichen and moss, so maybe you can be looking for some of those cool things. And as we go along, you can fill that treasure box, and by the end of the week, I'm going to ask you what your treasure box looks like. Next, we have a story. No One But You. I hope you enjoy that. Hey everyone, we've been talking about all the different senses, and I'm in the backyard right now and I'm just listening to all the different sounds of the birds and a beautiful soft breeze blowing through all the leaves of the trees. And I've got a book that's just amazing I want to share with you today. It's called No One But You. I hope you enjoy this. No One But You by Douglas Wood. There are so many things in the world, so many important things to be taught, to be shown. But the best things, the most important ones of all, are the ones no one can teach you, or show you, or explain. No one can discover them but you. No one but you can feel the rain kiss your skin, or the wind ruffle your hair. And no one but you can walk through a rain puddle in your bare feet. No one but you can listen with your ears to the song of a redbird in a treetop, or the wind in the pines, or the scolding of a squirrel, shaking his tail and stamping his feet. No one but you can see the morning sun sparkle on the water as you dangle your toes and watch a sunfish dart behind a stump and see the miraculous marching of a water strider across the surface of a pond. No one but you can gently hold a turtle with your own hands and count the plates on her back and the stripes on her chin. Feel the hardness of her shell and the soft scratching of her claws, and imagine what a turtle's life must be like as she swims back into the blue-green shadows of her world. Only one person can notice the hum of a bumblebee on a lazy afternoon as he buzzes past your ear on his way to a clover patch. And that someone is no one but you. And who else but you will roll a glistening dewdrop from a rose petal onto your tongue, or savor a red, ripe strawberry or a golden drop of honey, and know what it tastes like just to you. No one but you can smell the moist earth after a rain shower, discovering just the way it smells to you, or catch the fragrance of a tulip, an apple blossom, a rose, or even a dandelion. No one else can blow parachute seeds into the wind with your breath, or whistle with a blade of grass held between your two thumbs, or sing your very own song with your very own voice in your very own unique way. No one but you can hold a puppy in your gentle arms, or feel the softness of its muzzle and the warm tickle of its tongue, and make it feel safe and cared for just because it's with you. No one but you can smile just your smile, or laugh just your laugh. No one but you can remember your own memories, all the things you've done, all the places you've been, with all your favorite people. And of course, no one but you can make your new memories, the ones that are yet to come. No one but you can hear a chorus of frogs singing on a spring night under a blanket of stars, just like you can. No one else in the world can look up at the stars, these stars right now, with your own eyes and feel your own special place on this earth. And no one else can wish upon that star, that very one, from just where you stand, and wish your very own wish. No one but you. And no one in all the wild world but you can feel the feelings in your heart, knowing that someone loves you and saying the words only your lips can say, I love you too. No one but you. The end. Okay, next you have a scavenger hunt page in our nature activity book. So take a look at it. You've got two choices. One is just the pictures. That'll really help you to see what you're doing. Take that out if you want. If you want to simplify it, you just look for those creatures or things that you can find out in nature. Maybe in a park, in your backyard. Most of the time you can find these things in your backyard, and have fun with it. Next we have a video from Luke and his mom Tabitha Clifford, and they are going to talk about their wonderful adventures of geocaching. So listen in and play along. This sounds like it's going to be lots of fun, and I think there's going to be a prize at the end.
Hello boys and girls, my name is Tabitha and this is my son Luke, and we are going to tell you all about geocaching and how to play it. So first of all, Luke, can you just tell everybody what is geocaching?
Geocaching is a treasure hunting game that you can play with your family, friends, and anyone that you're with.
That's right, you can play it with all ages, with your whole family. And normally the real geocaching game, you would use a phone app, and it would give you the coordinates of where to find these treasures, but we're going to do a very modified version here this week. We are doing a geocaching training camp that's going to teach you all about geocaching, and this will be a modified version that will be just at the Bethel Church location on the church grounds surrounding the church. And you won't need a phone app, you'll just need the material that we give you. So we'll just tell you what to bring to prepare beforehand. So Luke, can you show them the items to bring? The first one, make sure you bring a pen or two. You are going to need that. You'll need to bring the info sheets that you get in your take-home kit. So you'll need the geocaching clues, you'll need the map, and the instructions to the game. So make sure you bring that, and you'll also need a little baggie with some swags in it. Luke, can you tell them what swags are?
Swags are small little toys that you can use to trade in geocaching. For example, a stretchy lizard toy, something like that, some classic dinosaur toys, and a really good thing to use is the Kinder Egg toy. They're small, easy, and they usually fit in the geocaching boxes.
That's right. You can also bring stickers, you can bring little marbles, a little pin that you can wear, anything that's small, that's smaller than the palm of your hand, so that it's not too big. Now there is some items that you cannot bring, you cannot put in there. Please don't bring food, no gum, no candy. Don't bring anything that's dirty. Don't bring anything that's broken. If it's something that you've got from around the house, make sure that's washed and it's clean. And we would prefer also that you would not just find something outside and pick a rock or a leaf off the ground and use it as a trade, because that's not really a fair trade. Now what happens, Luke, if they forgot to bring some swags to trade? Do they have to trade?
You don't have to trade if you don't want to. Some people just do it for the fun of finding the treasures, or you could just use a coin, maybe from your mom and dad. If they brought some, you could use coins too.
That's right. So if you have some nickels or dimes, quarters, the small change, you can still use that as a trade too, and if you're in a pinch. All right, and also beforehand, make sure that you also bring some hand sanitizer and that everybody in the group cleans their hands before they start the activity. We would also recommend that you'd wear long pants and closed-in shoes, because one of the hazards of geocaching is that you'll get lots of nicks and scrapes along your legs especially. There's always branches, tall weeds, sticks, things that poke you, so it would just be wise to dress for it. All right. right, so getting started, when you arrive at the church location, we'd like you to pull out your map with the geocaching clues. And the clue sheets here is numbered 1 to 10 because there's 10 items that are hidden. Now those items are containers called
Caches.
caches. Is that like money, Luke?
Sadly, it's not, but it's actually a box that you put the swags in, and the logs are in it. Wait, a log?
What kind of log
log?
is it? Can you stick a log in one of these containers?
It's not a regular kind of log. It's actually a piece of paper that you put as proof. You write your name on the log as proof that you actually found it. And back to the caches. It's usually hidden by camo tape or like black tape or something that blends it in.
That's right. The boxes are containers are very well disguised, and so they might be big, they might be small, and might be even very tiny or magnetic. So keep your eyes open. These large ones will have swags for trading, but all the other ones will just have logs. The paper logs, you write your name, your first name or your last name is fine, and the date. Does everybody need to sign the log, Luke?
No, only one person.
That's right. So just one person from your family or your group needs to sign it, not everyone. So you can take turns and make sure you always stick the log back in so that the next group can sign it. All right, now there might be some caches that are really, really tiny. Those ones will have a tiny log on it. They won't have enough room for your whole names. So what can you do, Luke?
You can just put your initials.
That's right. So just write your initials on it and that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to use this geocaching clue sheet. It'll show you the location, and the number will show on the map where to go and look around. Look high, low, look at the branches, look under logs, sticks, or just everywhere around there.
Funny joke, log.
Log. All right, so once you find it and you've signed the log, the other thing we want you to do is we want to mark it that you've actually found it on here as well. So you're going to mark it with a happy face.
If you found it.
That's right. So if you found it, you're going to put a happy face. That means you found it. Yay! And sometimes they're kind of tricky to find. So you might not find all of them, and that's okay. Put a little sad face on it. That doesn't mean you did a terrible job. The sad face means that, you know, you're going to maybe try again another time. But you don't want to spend too much time at each location. You want to be able to have time to do all 10 caches. So if you've spent about 5 minutes, up to 10 minutes maybe looking, and you're frustrated, you can't find it, you just skip it, move on to the next one, mark it with a sad face, and what can you do to change that sad face?
If you go back to it and you find it the next time, you change it into a happy face.
That's right. So, you know, at the end, if you have some extra time, you can go look for the missing ones, or you can come back another day, and that's just fine. All right, and the other thing I should mention is that sometimes the log will go missing, or it'll get full, and or the cache will be damaged. So if that ever happens, I want you to contact me immediately as soon as you can. I'll leave my phone number that you can text and my email address on the information sheet that you'll get. So if there's any problems with the caches or what's in it, you let me know right away so that we can fix that, and so that other families can enjoy playing it. So we hope that you all enjoy your geocaching adventures and exploring God's creation through it. And if you enjoy hunting for these caches, then we will encourage you to check out The Real Game and the websites that I'll have posted in these sheets that you're going to get, and you'll get more information on how to get started on the real game so you can explore them and wherever you go this summer, whether it's to the cottage, to the beach, just different towns, you can play this game anywhere, really, anywhere in the world. And we hope that you guys have some great memories that you make with your families.
Thanks for watching.
Next, we have a cool video about creation that Pastor Ashley is going to talk to us about.
Boys and girls, I hope you've been enjoying day 1 of I Spy Adventure Camp so far. You've learned all about nature and all the different ways that we can use our senses to explore. You've learned about geocaching. You've made your treasure box. You've had so many things to do already. And now we're going to hear from God's Word. If you have a Bible, why don't you grab it? Because we're going to be reading some verses today. And if you don't have a Bible, please ask the grown-up that's with you to send me an email, and I'd love to get you your very own Bible. You can email ashley@bethelstratford.org, and I will make arrangements for you to get your very own Bible. But if you have one, why don't you grab it? Because we're going to dig right in. Here we go, boys and girls. We've been learning this verse of the week, and it's Luke 12:28. So if you have your Bible, you can turn to Luke 12:28, and this is what it says. It says, "If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown in the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith?" You see, this week we're learning all about how much God cares for us. And I think a really incredible way to do that is by looking at nature. Because if God cares for nature as much as he does, how much more does he care about us? So today, we're going to dig in and look at God's creativity and how he created the world in just 6 days. Are you ready to dig in? Well, here we go. Have you ever heard a poem or listened to a song and it just sparked some creativity and some excitement in you? Well, let me read this poem to you. It says, "All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all." Isn't that beautiful? You see, there's creativity that comes in all forms, through poems, through songs. It can even be through artwork. You know what? I've been working really hard on my very own artwork. I think it might even be a masterpiece. Do you want to see it? Oh, not really that great. Well, I'll keep working on it, and I know it's not as great as this picture, and it's certainly not as great as this picture. You see, there's some amazing artists in the world, and God is one incredible creator. Let's learn about what that second photo was. Boys and girls, did you know that we are creative because God is our creator? And since we're made in his image, we get to be creative too. Isn't that incredible? Well, God is so creative that he made some pretty amazing things. He made the beautiful birds, the incredible insects, all the animals and trees and plants and flowers, everything that we see around us, God created. And I want you to stop for a moment and think of the most beautiful place you have ever seen, or the most beautiful bug or butterfly, or the most beautiful thing you've ever seen out in nature. You know what? God created that. And you remember that picture I showed you just a moment ago? Well, it's called the Blue Grotto. Here's a picture again for you. This is a place in Italy, and not many people actually get to see it in real life. You know why? Because it's actually underwater. You see, the only way you can get to it is when the tide goes out enough. There's a hole about 1.5 feet big, and people have to get in a really tiny boat, and they have to duck down and crouch through that tiny opening in the cave, and they can get inside and see it. Isn't it beautiful? But not many people get to see it. God has created so many beautiful things around this world. Even things like geodes. Do you know what geodes are? Well, they're those rocks that kind of look kind of boring on the outside, just a plain ordinary rock. But when you crack it open, on the inside are all kinds of beautiful, colorful little rocks that look almost like diamonds. See, God is so creative. He's made all of that. And now we're going to look in the Bible at the very, very beginning and see how God created everything all around us in just 6 days. So grab your Bible and turn to Genesis 1 and join me right back here when you've got it. So we're going to start right at the very beginning. This is Genesis chapter 1. We're going to read Genesis chapter 1, verse 3 to 5 to see what God created very first. Do you know what it might be? Well, let's read it and find out. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from darkness. He called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. Well, that's day 1. God created light. Let's see what happens on day 2. Have you ever been in a really dark room, and then all of a sudden the lights come on, you open the curtain, or you turn on a light, and your eyes have to adjust because now you're in the light? Well, you see, there wasn't any of that before. There was no light whatsoever, and God created it. So let's read again from Genesis chapter 1. We're going to read verse 6 to see what God created on day 2. Genesis 1 verse 6 says, "And God said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. So God made the vault and separated the water from the vault under the water above it. And it was so. God called the vault sky, and there was evening, and there was morning the second day." So now we have light and dark, and we have sky. Let's see what happens on day 3. So on day 3, God continued creating, and he separated the water from the land, and he even made plants. Let's read verse 9 to 13 to see what happens. "And God said, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear. And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruits with seed in it, according to their various kinds. And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day." Let's see what happens on day 4. So we read about day 4 in Genesis 1, 14 to 19. And it says, "And God said, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give lights on the earth. And it was so." Do you know what those lights might be? Let's keep reading. "God made 2 great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate the light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 4th day." See, on day 4, God made the sun, the moon, and the stars. Pretty awesome. Let's see what happens on day 5. All of the things that God has created so far have been really amazing and incredible, but day 5 is where it gets a little fun. This is where the birds and the fish come in. Let's read about it in verse 20 to 23. "And God said, let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living thing with which the water teems and that moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 5th day." There's just one more day of creation, day 6. Let's see what happens. Who knows what's left to be created? Well, let's read about it in Genesis chapter 1, verse 24 to 27. "And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind." That's where the cows and the dogs and the horses and all the animals come from. "And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, He created them. And it goes on a little further, but that was the end of day 6. Now we have animals and we have people. Let's see what happens on day 7. Wow, that was a lot to create in just 6 days. And then on the 7th day, chapter 2 of Genesis tells us how God rested. It's so important that we take time to rest. But you see, God created everything, and we're going to dig into each one of those days a little more this week. Tomorrow, we are going to learn all about the awesome plants and flowers that God made. The next day, we are going to learn about some incredible animals. We'll discover all kinds of wonderful things about them. And then the next day, we're going to learn about some birds, the beautiful songs they sing, what's special about their wings. We're going to have a great day learning about that. And then on the last day, we're learning all about bugs and insects and some crazy, wonderful things that they can do and some amazing things that God has created. I can't wait to learn more about God's Word and what we can learn about Him through nature. I'll see you again tomorrow for another lesson. Now why don't you take some time to sing some songs. There's some links in your workbook, or you can find them on our website, bethelstratford.org/kids. Be sure to sing some of those songs and join us right back here.
Like I said at the beginning, I was always going to have a poem to say hello to the forest and the trees and the nature and all the surroundings and the beautiful creation. So we're going to have a poem at the end too. It's a goodbye poem. Goodbye to the forest, to the plants and the trees. Goodbye to the birds, to the beetles and the bees. Goodbye me and goodbye you to our outdoor adventure space. Thankful for the senses that God gave you, we heard Him speaking through creation in this place. God created me and God created you. Each and every creature is His handiwork too. I Spy Adventure Camp, woo-hoo! See you tomorrow.